Welcome to this explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because we are tackling something literally everyone experiences, but very few people know how to actually fix: workplace chaos. You know the exact feeling we're talking about, right? When a project just stalls, emails pile up, and nobody quite knows whose court the ball is in? Well, today we're focusing on a brilliant, standardized language called BPMN that translates all those confusing, messy workflows into crystal clear, actionable maps. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been totally lost in a messy workflow where no one knows who does what? Think about it for a second. Have you ever suffered through delayed approvals, super frustrating handoffs between departments, or maybe you've been handed one of those massive 50-page procedural Word documents that, let's be real here, absolutely no one reads? If you've ever found yourself throwing your hands up and asking, wait, whose job was this anyway? Then you have experienced the exact problem we are solving right now. Here is our agenda for today. First, the chaos problem. Second, the universal solution. Third, core symbols. Fourth, step-by-step creation. Fifth, a practical example. And finally, number 6, some essential do's and don'ts. Section 1, the chaos problem. I thought you were handling that. It's the classic office battle cry, isn't it? When we rely on typical messy flowcharts with lines going in 100 different directions, or those heavy text manuals we just talked about, the actual work becomes completely invisible. We end up with hidden queues, totally unnecessary rework, and incredibly frustrated employees. We absolutely need a way to see that invisible work. Section 2, the universal solution. Enter BPMN, which stands for Business Process Model and Notation. Maintained by the Object Management Group, this is a standardized graphical language for representing business processes. It shows activities, decisions, and outcomes. But here's the key distinction you really need to grasp. BPMN is just the notation. It's the shared language, kind of like sheet music for an orchestra. The diagram you draw with it, that's the actual map. It's so much richer than a basic flowchart because it handles complex decisions, participants, and exceptions with absolute precision. And this brilliantly illustrates why BPMN is just such a game changer. Consider business analysts on one side and software developers on the other. They can look at the exact same BPMN diagram, but use it for entirely different things. Analysts use it to document current processes and design future ones, while developers use that very same map to translate business behavior into actual system requirements. It completely bridges the gap. Executives, compliance teams, operations managers, everyone gets to use the same shared model, which basically wipes out ambiguity. Section 3, core symbols you need. Okay, let's learn the alphabet of this new visual language. Most practical diagrams use just these core shapes. We start with events, represented by circles. These show when something happens, like a process starting or ending. Next are activities, shown as rounded rectangles. This is the actual work being performed. Think of a task like validate order. Then we have gateways, which are diamonds. These are your decision points, where the flow splits or evaluates a condition. Finally, the sequence flow, that solid arrow, tells us the exact step-by-step order these activities occur in. To finish out our core alphabet, we have the message flow. This is a dashed arrow that shows communication happening between separate participants. Then we have data objects, which literally look like little documents, showing the information being used or updated. But look right in the middle, pools and lanes. These are basically containers, and this is where accountability finally becomes crystal clear. A pool might be your entire organization, and the lanes inside it are the specific people or systems doing the work, like the customer, the sales system, and the manager. Section 4, step-by-step creation. Creating a truly useful diagram begins with process thinking, not just firing up your drawing software and dropping in random shapes. Here is a progressive 5-step checklist to guide you. First, define your boundaries and purpose. Second, identify your participants to build your pools and lanes. Third, list the activities and decisions in plain, simple language. Fourth, connect them all with your sequence flows. And fifth, and honestly, this is absolutely crucial, validate the diagram with the stakeholders and simplify it. Section 5, practical example. Let's see this in action. Every good process tells a story, and every story needs a clear beginning. Here, our start event, that little circle we learned about earlier, is triggered when the customer submits an online order. We have a clear boundary set, the process has officially kicked off. Now, the work conceptually moves down the flow to our first activity, which sits securely in the sales system lane. The activity is validate order. Notice how beautifully clear that is? We use a precise verb-object phrase. We know exactly what is happening, and thanks to the lane, we know exactly who, or in this case, what system, is responsible for actually doing it. Next, we hit a diamond, the gateway. The system needs to make a decision here, so we ask a question. Is the order high value? This evaluates the situation and splits our flow into two possible alternate routes, a yes path and a no path. This is where the magic of lanes really shines. If the answer is no, meaning it's just a standard order, the flow stays right there in the system lane and automatically moves to a confirm order activity. But if the answer is yes, the sequence flow actually crosses over into the manager lane. The baton is passed. The manager now has an activity to review order. Finally, our story has to conclude. The manager can either approve or reject that high-value order. If it's approved, it routes back to confirmation. If it's rejected, it hits a rejection end event. The big takeaway here is that every single path, whether it's automated by a system or reviewed by a human, has to reach a defined end event outcome. No workflow is ever just left hanging in the void. Section 6, Do's and Don'ts. Before you run off to map your own workplace, let's cover some quick rules of the road. First, your labels matter immensely. Do use clear verb-object phrases. Saying something like validate order leaves literally zero room for confusion. Don't leave your gateway branches unlabeled. If you have a diamond, we need to know exactly what conditions send the flow down each specific path. Oh, and don't try to map your entire organization in one massive go. Keep unrelated processes out of your current model. Next up, do match the level of detail to your audience. A high-level training diagram is going to look completely different than a deep dive automation spec. And you absolutely must validate your flow with the real workers, the subject matter experts actually doing the tasks every day. Don't just sit in a vacuum and model this perfect, ideal process that doesn't actually reflect reality. I want to leave you with this core philosophy. BPMN does not improve a process by itself. Its value comes from enabling better questions, decisions, redesign, and execution. A beautiful drawing is just a drawing, right? BPMN is an enabling tool. By making the invisible visible, it allows your team to ask much better questions, spot bottlenecks, and really drive continuous improvement. So here is my challenge to you. Think of a simple, messy process in your own workplace right now. Maybe it's requesting time off or processing a supplier invoice. How would you map it? Who gets a lane? Where do the diamond gateways go? Apply this new visual language today, and you might be shocked by how much invisible work you uncover. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy mapping!